Yo, welcome to episode 23 of my premium podcast Experience and Friends, hosted by Splash Jordan. This time for the intro, I'm going to do something different. My guests this week are people you already know, Frank Zone, Snack Carter, Miss O'Hare, and two people named Nobody and I Don't Know. So no need for the eloquent introduction this week. Instead, I'm going to tell you guys a story. It's a little long-winded, but it's a true story. A story about somebody who had me completely fucked up. Over the last few weeks, I've applied to a number of jobs and have interviewed for several positions. One position was forwarded to me, a Craigslist post about a local radio station seeking on-air talent. Given my skill set and background, of course, I considered myself an ideal candidate for the position. Days after applying, I received a call after 9 p.m. A young lady called and identified herself as a representative of WDRB, and they had received my email and resume and want to schedule an interview. With me so far? Interview was scheduled. I go on about my day. Fast forward to the morning of. The interview was scheduled for 10. I arrive at 9:40. I'm wearing a suit. That's important to know. I enter a slightly unassuming office, and I'm greeted by a young lady. I'm assuming this is the person who called me. She tells me to sign in. I do. I wait. She hands me a paper talking about bartering, which was random, about trading one thing for something else, which I thought was super random to give me at a job interview. It's one thing if it's sitting out, but, she gave it to me. So, that was my first warning. Already they wanted me to be comfortable doing something for favors and tickets, most likely. About 10 to 15 minutes later, another younger black man arrives. He has on jeans and shoes with BMW logos on the side. That's all I'm going to say. He's here to interview as well. He sits, he gets the paper. We wait, and we wait, and we wait. Maybe about 30 minutes go by. The young lady plays a video, which again is talking about bartering, even though she said we will be watching a video about the company. Get us more familiar and tell us a little bit more about it. I'm getting nervous now. Now I'm nervous. I'm on high alert. After the video, we fill out a paper. She says that the company, she tells us about how WDRB, the soul, all these listeners it has, the things they do in the community, what they're able to do. And she says that nonprofit organizations and small businesses and individuals can get free radio advertising. Do we know anybody that could use some free radio advertising? I thought, sure, I know tons of people who could use that. So let me see your paper. She gives it to us. We fill it out. I should say I fill it out. I quickly fill the sheet out. We'll list the names that come to mind while the other gentleman explains that he's using the loaner phone and doesn't have any numbers stored. No biggie. We move on. About 20 minutes later, we're summoned. And by we, I mean he and I at the same time to the same office. By someone I'm assuming is named Ernest Smith. I say assume because he didn't introduce himself, but a few certificates line the wall that bear that name, Ernest Smith. There was a book in there as well. Something about business with a Z. Dr. Business, I believe. I don't know. So when we do sit down, the first thing out of his mouth to us both, as he's interviewing us both at the same time, the first thing he says, "What brings you to my office today?" And it was at that point I became fully aware. I was dealing with people who wanted to waste my time, dealing with people who had conspired to wake me out of bed and get me to a place just so they could get on my motherfucking nerves. That's what I was dealing with. But I'm in it now. So my response to that question was, well, I'm here because you called me here and we scheduled an interview. I applied to a post that I found that said that this company needed an on-air personality or an on-air talent. His next question to me was even more appalling. What makes you think you can be an on-air personality? And I kind of just looked at him, and he looked at me he wasn't looking at me, but he was kind of like looking at the middle area between myself and the other guy. And so I told him, well, I'm already one. That's first, is that I'm already doing this. I'm just not paid to be doing this. So that's why I'm here. I didn't say it like that. Of course, I'm in there using big words and talking proper. But that was the gist of it. And so, of course, he asked me, if I was already knowing their personality, then what was I there for? And so, again, I told him, well, those are things that I do because I'm good at them and because I like doing them. I'm already on the air in several avenues, and I listed them off, but I'm here to take my brand to another level, get paid, new experience, new career, local station, yada, 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 yada. After that, he asked me a couple back and forth questions that were equally as flat. I don't remember quite what they are at this time. He paused for a second. He looks to the other guy, and he says, what brings you here? Yada, yada, yada. The guy says that he was a graduate of IDK Tech. And then him and the guy interviewing us, they both start giggling. And I couldn't understand what was so funny. I'm like, yo, the people who went there, the people that I know, they go up. They're getting money. They're not sitting here wasting their time. So I didn't understand the joke. But the two of them thought it was funny. So they continue on. And mind you, I'm talking about the guy with the BMW logos on his shoes. And no shade at all. I love BMWs. In fact, I wanted to pause the interview so I could ask him where he got these shoes with these BMW logos on it, but I thought I'd wait till afterwards. So anyway, they talk for a while. The guy says some other BS about not wanting to be stuck behind a desk, wanting to travel, wanting to do this, wanting to do that, saying a bunch of things that I wouldn't say in the interview, but he looked to be at least 2 to 4 years younger than me, so I knew some things he probably didn't. No big deal. After they talk, Dr. Business gets up, leaves the room, comes back. He doesn't come back in the room. He comes back to the door. He doesn't say my name. He uses his finger to beckon me to leave the room. And so the other guy and I were looking at each other, and I'm like, okay, I guess he wants me to leave the room. I thought that we were about to do maybe some type of air check or audition or on-air reading, something like that. So no. Instead of that, he leads me back to the front lobby, and he says, I have all I need from you. We'll be in touch. That's about how long I stood there, too, thinking like, yo, should I just I'm going to let it go. I'm going to just go home and forget that this happened. Except I couldn't forget that it happened because I was so pissed off that people want to be taken serious, but then the business that they conduct is super shitty. That, of course, I could expect this. Of course, he was a black man. And, of course, this is the type of setup I would expect from dealing with black-owned organizations. Nothing's ever on time. Nothing's ever what it appears to be. This man. And so, anyway, I left. I go home. I'm pissed off. If I had known from the beginning that it would be some type of, if someone were going to waste my time or if I were going to feel like this was a bunch of bullshit, of course I wouldn't have gone. So I do some more research on the company. Now that I knew exactly what they were called, who was calling the shots, I do some research. And of course, I find that a company that's not even accredited by the Better Business Bureau has complaints against it. I don't even know how that works. Like where as soon as you apply to be accredited by the Better Business Bureau, you're going to already have complaints waiting for you because of the type of shit that you do, the type of organization that you run into the ground, where you're lying to people, telling them that you have X amount of millions of listeners when you don't. You have bots and algorithms that show that X number of people might be listening to some type of programming that you're affiliated with, but they're not listening to you. So anyway, he says that to me, and I go outside. I'm thinking to myself, the other gentleman's going to come out in about 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm going to ask him what he said. 35 minutes goes by, and the other guy never comes out. He never came out, not once. And I'm so dumbfounded. I just couldn't believe what just happened. When I'm leaving there, I'm feeling like this man just totally wasted my time, totally stole my time, and made a mockery of everything I'm trying to do, because he would rather swindle and rob from his community. So This rant's gone on long enough. Bottom line, if you know me and somebody calls you talking about free radio advertising, my bad. My bad. And if they do call you, call and tell me, because I vowed to myself that if anybody who I cared about enough to help promote, even though they hadn't asked me to, were to then be harassed by this individual, I vowed to go back to his office. This time not in a suit and tie, but this time with 50 dreadhead niggas in his lobby to say how I really feel, and maybe to waste some of his time. So just let me know. Anyway, episode 23, and friends, no more stalling. Let's get to it.
I definitely don't say I'm African American. I've never identified with that.
What is African American?
Some
that's
bullshit.
That's not a thing, bro.
The same thing as Caucasian. Some made up shit.
Caucasian is real.
No, Caucasian is real. They're from Caucasoid Mountains.
That's real. That's real.
Bro, I heard that shit was fake.
There ain't no such thing as African American, though. Either you're American or you're not, because
matter of fact,
ain't none of us been to Africa.
Let's talk about what's real. I personally
it's
think
like
the Bible
people saying
fake.
Spanish.
It is.
That's not a thing.
Duh.
Yeah.
That's not a
I
thing.
mean, most of it's fake.
I guess
Either you American or you're not.
I think all of it is.
You think all religion is fake?
No,
all the Bible.
most of it, but
Yeah, it's fake.
No.
I swear
Islam is real.
Oh, why you a Christian?
I praise the Lord, honey.
You a Christian?
I sure did.
Oh, yes. We got a Christian in the
we gotta
building.
talk about that.
We gotta talk about that.
I'm Christian too.
Okay, you a Christian too?
Well, let's talk about
I'm a
it.
church going,
And you fuck with the
choir
whole,
singing.
and you fuck with the whole
Yeah,
like
that's it,
like
she
black empowerment
Yeah.
shit too,
I
right?
like your shirt too. I like that.
Hold on, you
We
fuck.
just match my shirts.
Hold on, you fuck with the whole black empowerment too shit, right? Like you want your black people to
Like
come up.
you believe in black lives. Like
I love, yeah.
okay.
They're definitely.
How do those coincide?
How do they coincide?
How can you be
Like
a
the church
Christian?
wants people to
How
come up
could
in
you be
the
a
church.
Christian and like
It's a
want better?
community thing.
How could you be a Christian and want better for black people?
Because I'm about my community.
But the white man gave us Christianity, though.
But
I bet you think Jesus
That's what
is
the-
black too,
but
don't
no,
you?
I don't think Jesus was in. Look, I know what I believe in. That's why I
Respect
say
that.
I'm
I
going
respect
to
Oh, that's
cut myself
that's
out of
perfect.
this
No,
conversation
we
because
want that.
what you
No,
have and
but
what
even
you
that's why-
learn and what your opinion is not going to affect me because I know when I leave here, I'm going to find me something to wear to church and get my black community loving will support another nigga ass
Oh.
up and go to church.
I'm
And
just
that's- y'all
trying to
wanna
get the
see
thought
some of
process
my
behind that
tribe.
shit.
The
And that's
birth
just
of
what I
the
do.
nation, right?
I'm just trying to get my thought process
So,
behind that shit.
Watching that,
It's just
which
what I grew up.
it's
I grew up
behind this
and
argument.
design.
Yeah,
You'll kind of get
So
what
my
I'm
mixed
saying.
granddaddy,
I mean, I understand.
he was
both
white
sides.
and black.
Yeah.
Took me to a design.
you was
church.
handed down that
If
shit.
we had
basically.
never
Yeah, this
come
is
to
generation.
America, we were never
Yeah,
slaves,
okay.
and we never met the Spaniards, all that great stuff, right? We would still be in Africa, and we would still be Islamic. We would be Muslims, all of us.
But every black,
No.
they want
Yes, we
Islam.
would. That's
not true.
You know how
Yes,
many
it is.
religions there are in Africa?
It's
I'm
they
not
want-
saying that there
We
aren't a lot
wouldn't
of
be
religions.
Muslim. I mean, a lot of us probably would
I see what
be.
you're saying. I was gonna say she's saying the dominant religion for us instead of it being Christianity because all
Because
black
all of
people
us are not
Christian.
going to come from
The,
tribes.
the majority
I see
of us
that.
are going to be Islamic as opposed to
I can
Christian.
see
That's
that.
what I'm
That's
saying, yeah.
like the
But
biggest religion
listen,
there is.
so when we were on the boat and they were bringing us over to America and they were like, oh, we can't just whip them. We have to make them believe. Somebody came up with the grand idea. We have to make them believe that we are the superior race. We have to make them believe that
That's my whole
you know
thing
who
with
we
the
are.
Christianity.
So
thing.
that's when they decide, well, they took the King James Version, however that came about. But, well, I mean, we know, but still. So they're on the boat and they're like, we're going to change stuff in it.
I'll tell you about that.
So we're gonna come up with stuff. We're gonna change things. So they're like, who do you believe in? What is your race? Oh, you're a heathen. You're a monster. You're an animal, right? But they're taking in what they're saying so they can switch that. So that way, when they break us down, they say, your God wants you to believe in us. Your God wants you to do what we say. So that's how Christianity got put on us like that. So that way they could, mind fuck us and make us follow their rules and
That was
be under
kind of
their
my
rules.
point.
But
something like that, though.
But
I mean, yeah, it was something like
It was
that.
something like that.
I don't 100% agree with
It was
that,
more so.
but we can agree to disagree.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
okay,
more
sorry.
so.
You
Yeah.
want it?
And I think what
I just want to know why you were a Christian.
I think the white folks, the book that they allowed us to read was the Bible. because they knew
I'm
that
African and